Yeah, somehow.
True.
Yeah. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay.
Big podcast money.
Let's talk about this podcast. Let's talk about that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of that. Let's talk about that podcast. I'm your co-host Tony,
And I am Martin. And today we thought we would be talking about sports and our experiences in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a typical sportsman, Tony?
Not at all. I suggested this topic, and I really, frankly, don't know why. Because there's few people more ill-suited to talk about
it. Yeah, same. I but that kind of makes it more interesting as we do not know much about it, and it's kind of looking at something on a very, very, very amateur level. I think that
absolutely.
I hope people like it.
Yeah. Well, let's see. To start out with, I guess, sort of what sports have you played sort of throughout your life?
Well, as a young boy, I probably like 10 maximum. I played soccer or football, as we call it here, for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. After that, I think I was about 12 when I started doing karate, and that's kind of what I've done. I've always used my bike and stuff like that, but that's kind of what I've done, like in an organized setting. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like team sports, I mean, I think when I was very young, it had to have been probably when I was even like 5 or 6. I think I did t-ball, which
is that kind of similar to baseball?
Yeah, it's basically baseball, but instead of having someone like throw the ball and you hit it, you put the ball up on a stand, which we call a tee. Like it's a big stand, and then you just hit it off the stand.
Like baseball for kids.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I'm looking at some pictures. I've seen that before. Yeah. Cool.
So I know I did that. I know I was also on a soccer team at one point. As a kid, actually, I've done soccer at a couple different points in my life.
Yeah.
I was never any good at it, but is what it is.
Few people are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still waiting for the call. I'm going to go pro one of these days.
Yeah. Or maybe not.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I did, some. My dad is very much into like jogging, running. So, I've done I did some of that with him, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I still play golf occasionally.
Mm-hmm. The sport of the rich.
Yeah, I guess so. Although, yeah, I mean, it's easiest. Although there's a lot of cheaper courses here too that are.
Yeah. I mean, golf. It looks quite easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
I've tried golf a couple of times, and even though I can't find it interesting slightest, but I see why people find it fun or like to do it though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the worst case scenario, it's still like a nice walk, and if the weather's nice, you go out and have a couple beers with your friends and that sort of stuff.
I mean, you make it. You make it to something good. I mean, it's not. How do you say this in English? It's only as fun as you make it. And,
yeah.
That goes for everything, I guess.
Sure. Oh yeah, and I guess I also did that. I was actually a swimmer for a couple of years too.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely would not know it to look at me now. There's a reason I keep this thing cropped about here. So,
I mean, you've hit the golden age. And you're a father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm married. I've got kids. Who am I trying to impress at this point?
Yeah. It's no use. Yeah, you're settled.
But yeah. I mean, of course I've done a little bit of biking. Nowhere near as much as you have.
Yeah, I mean we always biked around, just having bikes and just finding each other and having fun on the bikes, jumping here and biking there. And then it was kind of, when we got the cars and stuff, we drove instead, and we walked for quite a while because not everyone had a bike. But it's not until the later years I've been like biking for longer rides for for the exercise sake.
Sure.
That's for the past 3 to 4 years maybe.
Okay. Out of curiosity now, as like when it comes to biking, because that's something the kids like because it gives them a lot of freedom to go, farther away from home than they used to by themselves.
Yeah.
But of course, that's also sort of based on what your parents set forth some rules usually about how far you can go. Is that?
Yeah.
I imagine in like a smaller town in Norway, maybe it's more common to bike a little farther away. Like, did you have any sort of like boundaries that you had to?
Meh. Not really. Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to, I could take my bike like 10 kilometers away. It wouldn't. Yeah. So only if I managed to get home in time and stuff like that, it was okay. But we never went that far. And
Sure.
I had to tell them where I went. That's kind of the thing. But we stayed in quite close to where because we lived on the same place, everyone. So, but when my daughter starts to bike, I mean, all the technology and stuff now, we kind of have a track with like the watch and stuff like that. We didn't have that when we were kids, did we? I remember I got my first phone when I was 10. This Nokia brick thing, and I forgot it on some place, and yeah. So there wasn't much boundaries, not for me at least, but I guess you had some. I mean, you live kind of more there are more people around there.
Yeah.
Lots of cars and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a long time I kind of had to stay more or less in the neighborhood, which was a fairly big neighborhood, so it's not like it was, super small or anything. But and then as I got older, as I got to be like a teenager, I had a little more flexibility at that point. A couple times I think I biked to like the other end of the city, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't a huge city, but it was still a good, few miles away, several miles away.
Yeah. I mean, if you're good and to and follow the rules, your boundaries are set further and further away, I guess. At least that's how it worked at home for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and of course Vincent is just at an age where he's learning to bike. He still has his training wheels on, but he's I think almost ready to take them off.
Yeah.
And yeah, he kind of can go about a block or two away.
Yeah, he's doing that on his own, right?
Yeah, he does that. He's kind of allowed to go. We have in our little in the couple blocks, if he wants to walk or go play, he can do that.
Yeah.
As long as he lets us know before he goes to any houses. That's the
yeah. I mean that's very good to let the children have like their freedom within the boundaries that you set.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very healthy for the children to have that freedom. I mean, we wouldn't send our daughter out down by the road to go with a bike because there's a lot of cars and stuff. But if she goes out in the garden and climbed the mountains or some trees, I said, okay, as long as we can hear you, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess many parents these days are kind of strict. They do not allow their kids to do stuff like that. At least not here. how's that around where you live?
Well, my neighborhood might be a little bit of an outlier because we're kind of tucked back and there's not a lot of traffic.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I think like all the kids in the neighborhood kind of have the run of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
In the summer, they'll just be sort of gangs of roving, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds playing at the park or
yeah, that's
running
perfect.
3 yards.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you got to stretch our comfort in terms of what kind of freedom we're able to give them.
Yeah, I mean, give a little more than what you're comfortable with, and yeah, I guess you get the reward in the end.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about sports, and we talked about boundaries for children instead.
Yeah,
potato, tomato. But sports. You did some sports. I did a couple. But are you kind of watching any sports? Like, are you need to get that game? You need to follow that team or see that race or whatever.
Sure. In recent years, not really. I'm. In my like barbershop quartet, the other guys are always talking about football because of course football is kind of the big thing here, which I should say American football, tackle, all that. But yeah, no, I haven't really followed sports in several years, especially not since having kids. I used to be into following baseball for a few years.
Yeah, baseball and American football is kind of and basketball probably. It's the biggest sports over there, right?
Yeah, they're kind of the big four are those three plus ice hockey.
Yeah, hockey, of course.
Yeah, and we're actually one of the relatively few. Minneapolis is, I think, Minnesota is one of the few states that actually has a team in all four of those major sports because not all of them do. There's of course some big ones do. New York and California, they've got
sure.
Each.
Sure. But Minnesota, you aren't that many people, right? Compared to many other states.
Yeah, I mean we're certainly smaller than a lot of those other places, but
I think I've seen that in some statistics. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember what all the populations are. I think we fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. A
lot of smaller ones, fair amount of big ones, but yeah, no. I also always, it sounds weird, and I don't follow it, but if it's on TV, like at a place, I actually kind of like watching golf. Which,
yeah, I mean, you kind of play it occasionally, so why not? You at least understand the game to a degree. So, yeah, I can understand why you would like to watch that.
Yeah, well, and the nice thing is usually with golf, they, all the people are sort of on different holes at the same time, and so it just kind of gets condensed down to what passes for interesting in golf, the most interesting parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, okay, I watched this person take a shot, now I gotta watch them walk for 2 minutes back to their next spot and line up. It's like, you get to see all the best parts that way.
Yeah, same. I understand what you're saying.
Sure. What about you? Do you?
Well,
go ahead.
Not now, but I used to when I lived at home with my parents. My father is kind of into sports, at least watching them, like skiing and Tour de France, handball. I think I mentioned that before, and I think that's kind of the same as you mentioned with golf, like Tour de France, where they are on a bike all day. That just has to be boring, but they're making it like a show, at least here in Norway, where the reporters are talking in the background and they have history from the places they're filming, and they're filming people around, and they have some experts talking, and then you see the riders and all that stuff. So it was kind of interesting to watch a couple of times, but it's not like I'm benched like watching Tour de France for a whole day. That would be kind of boring for me, at least. I mean, people are fanatics about anything. So, and the same with skiing. Like when they go like 100 kilometers, 10 miles, metric miles. Yeah, that's a long way on ski, on cross country skiing, and I can't find that very entertaining to watch for longer. I mean, I can watch a bit there and watch a bit there and see the finish line, but I'm not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get bored watching for a longer period of time of sports, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing going on all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's the one good thing about television. Yeah, they can just cut it down to the fun parts. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, you think, is it pretty common for folks over there to be really into like watching skiing and Tour de France, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very.
Interesting.
Skiing is like the main sport in Norway, I guess.
Yeah.
We're kind of I mean, you have heard about Telemark skiing, probably. They think that skiing on like two boards was invented in Telemark in Norway. It was. I read it somewhere. It was insanely long ago, but they think it was invented here actually. So they used to say that the Norwegians are born with skis on their feet.
Sure.
So yeah, everyone has kind of a relation to some athlete in the winter sports arena. Yeah, either if it's slalom or skates or whatever.
Well, there's probably a reason that Norway wins the most medals at the Winter Olympics. You know.
Yeah, in the World Championship too. We are quite high in the ranks.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh man, totally lost my train of thought there. It's early.
Yeah, let's talk about the payments or the salary of the soccer players around the world.
Sure. Well, I mean, I can. Yeah.
Do you have any sense of how much they make?
Globally or in the United States?
I mean, certain players.
I mean, you know, of course, soccer is so much less popular here than it is in basically everywhere else in the world. So, I mean, I imagine in the U.S. they don't get paid, you know, like they do in big markets like, you know, Brazil and you know, Europe. I really have no sort of grounds for comparison. I mean, I guess I feel like you hear about the big names that get like millions of whatevers a year, dollars, euros.
Yeah, let's see. Cristiano Ronaldo. He is quite famous.
He's famous enough that even I know his name.
Yeah, he makes 1.68 million pounds per month.
Wow.
and that shouldn't be illegal, if you ask me. I mean, he's doing a job or a hobby, and he's dedicated with, I mean, every single hour of his day is dedicated to this. But 1.68 million pounds
per month.
Month.
I mean, I guess
that's not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are players in like football and baseball, like or you know, American football and baseball. I think there are people that make that or maybe even more. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember what even, you know, passes for a big contract these days. But certainly tens of millions of dollars a year is not unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, I just search now for the highest paid football player in America, Aaron Rodgers. I see a picture of him, and he plays American football. So I guess I'm in the right track.
Yes,
He's the highest paid player in the NFL, and after a 3-year, he earned about $150 million. It's so much money. Why do they earn that much? I mean, 100 of those millions could be used to so much other stuff. Yeah, I'm so against that.
I am too. I think Major League Sports there's too much money involved there that just is sort of, I don't necessarily want to say undeserved, but kind of undeserved in terms of just like, what function it serves at a societal level, when we're paying our athletes, hundreds of millions of dollars for a 3-year contract, and yet like our teachers are horribly underpaid here.
Yeah, and nurses too are I mean, there should be more even pay. I mean, even work, even pay. But I think that sport athlete do not. Yeah, he doesn't do what he doesn't mean that much as a teacher or a nurse does for the society. So yeah, it's very wrong. I must admit, but unfortunately, I do not make the rules.
Yeah. And of course, the football player you brought up, Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I grimaced a little when I heard it because I may not be very much into sports, but there's sort of a friendly / occasionally maybe unfriendly rivalry between the team he plays for, the Green Bay Packers, and my home team, the Minnesota Vikings. So, there's some it's funny because, like I said, I don't really care, but I still have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about the Packers just because, I don't know, that's the culturally appropriate thing to do here in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's kind of there. You have to care, kind of. Yeah, I'm looking just for curiosity. I mean, because Norway is kind of a winter sports country, and I think dominant. That was not what I highest paid winter athletes. I tried to search, but I only find kind of the richest. But I mean, they could use finances for other stuff. So it's yeah. I guess it's. I do not have how much money. Who won the gold medals? I mean, we have so many gold medals in winter athletes. So I guess probably it's Therese Johaug. This Olympics that was, she had 3 golds in 4 events. It doesn't say anything about how much she got paid, but yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, it's sort of a difference between like team sports, like where teams go head to head, and like sort of what else, like individual athletics events, like skiing and things like that. Where maybe a lot of people are, maybe it's even a race, but it's it's not really teams based. I feel like especially those Olympic level athletes, get more of their money from like sponsorships and things like that. At least here, that's sort of, they get famous. Like Michael Phelps did several years back.
Yeah, and you see Shaq O'Neal too. He I mean, I kind of like that guy. He's even though I'm not into sports and stuff like that, he seems like an all right person. He do. I don't know everything he does. Far from
Yeah.
it, but what I've seen, he does some good stuff. He tried to use his money for good.
Yeah.
So and I heard that story when he went into Walmart and made a deal with them to make shoes affordable for everyone and stuff like that. It's I think that's he's a role model for many rich athletes around.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I also, I would say, have a positive opinion of Shaq overall, which of course is what we all, I don't know if that's, if you hear of him as Shaq there, but we all just call, I think Shaq is what any American would call him.
I would also call him Shaq because I've seen many videos about him, but Shaq O'Neal is his, at least, shortening of his name. I don't know if that's his whole name or whatever, but people know who that is.
Absolutely.
I've also seen a soccer player. I can't remember which team he plays for. He had red shirt, so it's probably some, whatever. But he's an African player playing for a European team, I think, and there was a news reports or news writings. He had just a broken iPhone and stuff like that, and he didn't drive a fancy car and stuff, and because he used his millions to build schools and stadiums and infrastructure in Africa.
Yeah, that's really cool.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, there are many athletes that do that. We can't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of them are some degree of charitable. Maybe not.
Yeah, of course. But you hear about those who just have like 15 luxury cars and use none of them, and 14 different houses around the world. It's so messed up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do our next episode on wealth inequality. That's quite the topic. So as we're saying here, we're trying something kind of new with doing some shorter cut episodes. I know Martin and I both have some conflicts over the next couple weekends for recording, so we're gonna kind of chop this up into a couple of smaller ones, and
maybe we'll change the topic. We'll see. We haven't decided yet.
You have to decide whether we've exhausted this one enough. Sports, the topic that we said at the beginning we're such experts on.
I mean, it's our opinions. Everything we talk about is mostly our opinions and emotions around stuff. So yeah.
With that said, our schedule over the next couple weeks, we don't exactly know what it will look like yet. We'll try and I think have something weekly still.
We maybe have a surprise for you. We haven't decided that yet.
Yeah. Someday we'll have a surprise for you. If not soon, then
later.
Soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was what we had for this episode, I guess, and we'll try to record something more.
Yes.
For you guys. Until next time.
Until next time, you all know where to find the podcast. All the places.
Yeah. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload on YouTube. And leave us a comment.
Yeah.
In the comment section, we'd love that. There are a couple of subscribers to do so, and it's lovely. It's lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So until then, we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, hope so. For now.
Bye.